So yeah, when I was thinking about this earlier, there's a sarcastic answer as if it's not done by PhD. It's obviously rubbish and awful and terrible and all the rest of it. But in reality, one of the things that I always think makes a logo look really, really sort of naff is if you've got a load of gradients or drop shadows, things like that, that you're almost relying on a computer trying to fancy something up and make something look a little bit more vibrant. It actually hasn't got the fundamentals behind it. So if you've got gradients, drop shadows on your logo, I promise you, if you were to get rid of those and try to get the core of that looking grey, it would look better, you'd look more professional, you'd look more trusted, and people would like that far more. There's a million and one other things that you can do, but that's probably a really, really good tip to start somewhere.
So logos looking cheap. I'll just talk about like branding identity as a whole. Um, if you get a new logo and you keep your old logo elsewhere in your business, you don't update things, whether it's on your vehicles or your signage or your website or uniform products, whatever. It kind of dumbs down the brand for me, and just always good when you have a rebrand to kind of make the effort and overhaul everything that was there before, because you've had the rebrand for a reason, and it's going to make you look so much better. Um, there's things that within a logo for me that make it look cheap are maybe if it's a picture, if it's not actually a graphic, if it's not a logo element, you haven't really gone to the effort to kind of make your brand look as good as you can. Um, and other things like inconsistencies. So if your kind of branding doesn't have a real color scheme or no fonts to it, they're all things that really matter and make a big difference. So yeah, if you're trying to show that your business is as good as you think it is, just go the extra mile and do everything I've just said.
Uh, Logos looking cheap, there's a myriad of different ways that you could do that. Number one thing is paying £6 for it, because whatever you get for that is going to look cheap. But to put it into context, some people think that if you have a logo and you go into Photoshop or Canva or any of the photo editing type softwares and you put loads of colours in, you put rainbow colours in it, you put a drop shadow in it, then you put a fade on it, then you put a sparkle and a twinkle, and then you put the whole thing with lots and lots and lots of detail, that looks cheap. You won't find any decent sized brand on the planet that use those kind of principles. However, lots of companies do use those when they start up because they're buying it cheap, which means they get it cheap, which frankly looks a bit cack. So Photoshop filters that have gone to the excess, drop shadows that are fades, that's what makes it look cheap. Loads and loads and loads of additional things, but complexity as well. If you've got lots of bits and bobs inside a logo, it means that when you shrink it down to small size, which you will do, for instance, the little icon on the top of a website in the top thing by the URL, if you shrink it down, you won't see it at all. A perfect example of this is Apple. Now, Apple is a wonderful brand, but if you look back at the history of Apple, their first logo, wow, that is a car crash. I dare you to have a look, find it. It is an absolute car crash.